Hello, my name is Jordan Grimmer and I am a concept artist working in the games industry. It's been another crazy year, hasn't it? I haven't really been very productive. Well, not as productive as I wanted to be anyway, but I think that's okay, isn't it, really? You know, it's been quite a lot over the last few years, so if we're not as kind of busy as maybe we should be, oh well, who cares? I thought I'd take a moment from wasting my life on Overwatch 2 to actually talk in a video again, and yeah, it's been a while, so I'm sorry again. So as it's almost Christmas, I've poured myself a nice glass of Bailey's, and I thought I'd come on here to answer a few questions that I tend to get asked a lot about being a concept artist for video games. And so for a bit of background about me, I've worked in games now for almost 9 years, and I've been lucky enough to work at about 4 or 5 different studios up and down the UK and internationally too. So this is just my take on things. So don't really take this as gospel, but these are just some general kind of thoughts. Lovely notification sound there. These are just my thoughts on these questions. So really don't take these as gospel, but hopefully you might find these useful if you are thinking of going into the games industry yourself, and you're thinking of maybe being a concept artist. So let's have a go. Let's get into it. So the first question I'm going to cover is what is concept art and what does a concept artist actually do? So concept art is a form of artwork that has a main purpose of informing the look, the feel, the tone. Like, it could really be anything of a video game, a movie, or any kind of entertainment, or kind of anything you really need it for, really. So with every modern day piece of entertainment, there's usually some concept art that's been made to help visualize the end product. Concept art could also take many forms as well. It could be character designs, it could be environment designs, it could be vehicles, it could be props, so things like boxes, candles, objects that are in a scene or in a video game or something like that. And this is the kind of stuff that I have to do every single day. Like, I might have to design the look of a building, or I might have to make like a vista of a landscape, or, you know, just I have to visualize parts of the end product. And on top of that, I also have to be able to cover a range of styles, not all the time, like art styles, stuff like that. And my art fundamentals have to have a good foundation, because I've got to be able to cover quite a range of objects and just things in general, really. One of the biggest misconceptions I think people have about concept art is the idea that it's actually illustration when it's not. And I think, myself included, when I got into doing art when I was younger, I felt that concept art was just about creating big, detailed, lavish images, you know, big illustrations, when in reality it's completely not that at all. Of course, there might be times where you might have to finish a certain piece or an environment, for example, a character design, to a very high level, but that is not the main point of what concept art is. It's all about generating and visualizing these different ideas, and not about creating highly polished illustrations. So my next question is, how easy is it to get into the industry? So I won't really sugarcoat it, it is quite difficult. There are lots of people trying to get in, and there are lots of university courses all over the world that are pumping out students that all want a job. When I started, things were different. Tuition fees were lower here in the UK anyway. So obviously the choice now to go to university is quite a big one for, you know, money-wise. I do understand that. University also really isn't for everyone, that's the thing. And you can get an art education outside of it if you have a good community online or in person helping you. But obviously not everyone has that, or not everyone has access to that. You know, like, I didn't really have my own access to an online art community until very, very recently. If you don't have that circle of friends around you, or circle of like-minded people, it can be really, really difficult to find a space where you can grow as an artist together. Nowadays, the standard is so high, you know, because of the amount of amazing resources that there are out there now. And social media is also like awash with so many people vying for attention too, meaning that people have to work much, much harder now to be seen. But I really don't think that should scare people from trying, though, as being a concept artist is honestly an amazing job, and I really do love my job. Unfortunately, my answer to the main question about breaking into the industry is just that you really have to put the work in, and you really have to try to be like aware as much as possible of the quality of your work, and try to be very realistic about where you are and what you need to improve on. And this can be incredibly hard, I do know that. It took me years to break into the industry, like a lot of late nights and a lot of thinking that I should just stop and give up. And you just have to be persistent. Like, you have to use the free resources that are online. You have to try to find a Discord channel, of like-minded artists, and listen to the feedback that you receive from more experienced people in the industry. Also, I think you have to be totally shameless, because I wouldn't be doing anything like this now if I didn't show my work to like absolutely everyone years ago. Like, I used to just throw everything I did on DeviantArt, and that's, I guess sometimes that might not be a good idea, but like, I felt like I probably put my work in front of so many people so that people just had to see it sometimes, and this allowed it to be seen by lots of artists who gave me constructive feedback, but also it allowed people who could then hire me to see it as well. So yeah, overall it is quite difficult to get into the games industry, but I really don't want this to scare people off. You just really have to have the passion for it, really, and if you feel like it might not be for you in any kind of way, then it might not be for you. But if you really feel it is, and you feel like you've got that passion, and you feel like you can really put the effort in, then you should go for it. I think I've had enough Baileys for one night, actually. So, next question. So, what is a typical workday like for a concept artist? So, regardless if you're working remotely, like I am right now, the same rules kind of apply. Like, I have worked in studios right up until 2018, really. It was well before the big stuff happened, and ever since then I've actually been working remotely. But it doesn't really matter regardless, because the day is still very similar. So I usually wake up, I have a very strong black coffee, I sit down at my computer where I'm sitting right now. If I was in a studio, I'd come in, same thing, get a coffee, have a chat with my colleagues. I still do, obviously now remotely anyway. And then we get to work on the task of the day, or the tasks that you're currently working on already. And that could be a task that that's been going on for like days or weeks, or sometimes even months, so some tasks can take like a really long time, but obviously also some don't as well. So yeah, so let's say that I've come into work and I've got nothing on my plate to do. I've got no tasks. So what would I do? So usually the process for a new piece of concept art is this. So firstly, I would get briefed on what the task is. So this is usually in a meeting with your art director or with your art lead. You discuss it, you ask any questions that you might have, you kind of go over exactly what you need to do, what are the main points that you need to cover. You're really trying to get as much info as possible. So you might have a few mood boards given to you, or some reference material, which could be really anything. Could be things like pictures, photos, artwork, story beats, like bits from the game that just flesh out more of this area or this character that you're being asked to visualize. It really could be anything that helps describe the scene, the environment, whatever you're meant to be concepting. So once you've done that, you then get started on it. You start working on a few sketches or a few thumbnails, and once you're at a good stage, you send these over to your colleagues, and then we tend to discuss what's working and what isn't, really. There's always a conversation going on, game studios, all the ones that I've worked on have always had a very kind of open dialogue about where the work is going, and if you ask for feedback, you will always get it. At this point, you're essentially doing like rounds of concepting and ideas, because again, at the end of the day, that's what being a concept artist is. It's about generating ideas. It's not about creating a finished, highly polished illustration, like I said earlier. From there, these rounds of drawing and concepting continue, and you can keep iterating and tweaking what's not working, really, until you land on something that you and your art director both agree actually is. This isn't always just in one day, but this is typically the process. So you're just doing like a round of ideas, you get it checked, you do another round, you get it checked, and then until you kind of finally land on something that's working. This is kind of me like repeating my point again, but what people need to remember about concept art is that you're not creating highly detailed things. Like, the process is about creating ideas, so you're expected to work at quite a certain speed. Not too fast, but you need to get stuff done. You can't just do like nothing all day, obviously. And that can be quite challenging, especially when you've got quite a few ideas that you need to get down. But on the flip side of that, all of the studios that I've worked at have been very, very chilled and just like totally just very laid back places. Like, the games industry in general is one of the coolest places to work because everyone is there for the same reason, obviously. So next question. So do you draw every day? No, I don't. I won't say the usual draw every day thing because I think that's not good, and I think it's actually pretty harmful towards people. What I will say is that it has to be an enjoyable thing to do, and if it's not, you won't progress. Like, you're not going to improve if you're not enjoying what you're doing. Like, forcing yourself to draw and study when you don't want to, like, it just won't work, and you'll just end up resenting the process when you feel like you haven't learned something that day. Like, I fully believe if we're going to spend hours and months of our lives drawing and sitting in this bloody chair that I'm sitting in now, then it has to be good and it has to be fun, you know, so it has to be worth it. We need a really healthy work-life balance now more than ever, and, you know, creating art is fun, and that's why we do it. And when it's not, that's just going to kind of ruin it, isn't it? So no, I don't draw every day, and I don't really think that people should really either. It's just really important to set boundaries in life when it comes to work and art and, you know, our personal lives. Like, when those boundaries start overlapping, I think that's when it starts to negatively affect everything in your life. Essentially, I'm saying, like, be good to yourself, but also be realistic about your goals. Like, you're not going to improve if you're not trying, but also don't end up in, like, you know, in a heap on the floor crying just because you can't draw a tree today, you know? I think that kind of circumvents the point that that question is actually asking, so maybe I'll just try to sum that up. Yeah, I don't draw every day, but, you know, I think it's about having a healthy balance of drawing when you're in the right mood for it. I did go through a stage of doing dailies, which, you know, I guess was every day, you know, but a lot of the time they were very small, and I was really kind of challenging myself to, you know, improve, and I don't think that that's something that everyone should do. Like, that really took a lot out of me, you know, so I haven't done that since. And every time I do try to do that, it's another, like, it's like a week here or 2 weeks there. So, you know, doing things like that, like, every day for like years on end, is just gonna burn you out. And final question for now, do I need to specialize to get into the industry? What kind of portfolio should I have? So I'll answer the first one first. Yes and no. That's it. End of the video. Bye-bye. Nah. If you can show that you're very adept at one particular field of concept art, like, for example, characters, I think this usually means that you've already got quite a good grasp of some fundamentals and how, you know, how to build art that actually is successful, you know? Like, you might not be as good at environments, but you can still learn how to make them to a certain level, you know? I'm, like, a firm believer that art, again, should be fun. So if you choose to specialise and you get very good at that one thing, I'm sure you'll already be then, like, a solid artist who can then attack, like, the gaps in your portfolio. But for getting into concept art at a base level, you do need to show a range. So yes, specialise in one thing to keep art fun and keep the passion there, but no, don't specialise if you want to have, you know, a well-rounded portfolio that will actually get you a job. Again, this is just my opinion, but you need to have a grasp of quite a few things. Not to a high level, not at all, but at least show us, you know, like us when we're looking at your portfolios, if you're going to apply to somewhere, that you understand what is expected of you in the job. Like, show us that you understand what you're meant to be doing when you become a concept artist. A good concept art portfolio should show, like, a range of art and techniques and types of art, you know, character design, environment design, props, vehicles. Not all of these, but some of them. And also, as a side note, no one is good at everything, you know, and being amazing at everything in concept art is unrealistic, you know. No one is fantastic at everything. There might be like one person, one or two or three people in the world who are good at everything, but who cares? Whatever, you know. No, not everyone is good at everything, okay? When I've done feedback sessions in the past, when I've gone to universities and I've looked at student portfolios, I'm always looking at whether there's a range of understanding of what concept art actually is. If you're applying for a job, your portfolio should show us sketches, it should show us process, and it should show us how you got to that final image. And again, concept art is not illustration. We don't want to see tons of finished images. We want to see your thought process, you know, and how you got to that final image. Show us the thumbnails, you know, the rough designs, the character silhouettes, the different environment sketches that you made to get to that final piece that you're probably going to show as well. So yeah, I guess if you're applying for a job in the games industry right now, look at your portfolio, and ask, does this cover a range of things I might be asked to create in the job? Does it show some character work? Does it show some prop design or environmental design? Always keep in the back of your mind that a concept artist is someone who creates ideas. So show us your best ideas. So anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I will do some more of these voiceover videos as the time goes on. I'm trying to get into a proper schedule now, doing things like this. So yeah, if you have any questions about being a concept artist, please drop them down in the comments section below, and I will try to answer them either in the comments or in another video, you know, who knows. Yeah, if you are currently looking for a job, you know, and you would like some advice, just feel free to please pop it down in the comment section. I will try to reply to you. I hope that you've enjoyed my most recent videos. If you haven't, please do go check them out. And yeah, stay safe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.